How's it going, everyone? Welcome back to another episode of Critically Incorrect, our second episode here on the new podcast. As expected, this episode did come out a little later this week just because of everything going on with the launch of the PS5. Justin wasn't able to play really until Saturday, so we obviously wanted to wait until we had a decent amount of playtime behind the new console before we talked about our first impressions. That being said, I am joined by Justin today. It's just going to be a duo episode, so Justin, if you want to introduce yourself a little bit here.
Hey everybody, it's Justin here again. Yeah, we're back for this second episode of Critically Incorrect. I guess you can quickly explain, I think they know, but I guess you can just say
The
why
format
Charlie
of this
isn't
week. Yeah, so Charlie
here.
is sadly in the UK, so he's going to have to wait until the 19th before he could play the PS5. Hopefully we can have a greater discussion about the console with him later on. Maybe on episode 3, we'll see. He's going to be probably playing much on Thursday, so we're not going to record that day, so we'll see. This week is also going to be kind of interesting because it is the launch, in Europe, so we'll see when we can fit Charlie in. I do want to bring him on for episode 3. That'd be weird to start off this podcast with 2 episodes, in a row without him, so I definitely want him on episode 3. Hopefully we can somehow figure out to get that episode by Saturday, but we'll see how things go. The format for this week, as Justin was kind of alluding to, it's going to be pretty much a one-off special based on the PS5 coming out this week. So we're going to go over our first impressions on the device, kind of like our story getting the PS5, like how easy it was, how hard it was, as well as kind of compare the Metacritic scores that we made predictions of last week. We recorded that episode literally the day before much of the review scores came out. Now pretty much every single game has a review score on Metacritic. I believe the only one that's a little iffy right now is Demon's Souls because it is actually it has 24 reviews in now, so it hasn't matured a bit. I know it originally only had 7 or 7 reviews. So yeah, we'll be comparing those actually pretty quickly here and going into everything, as you can see in the background of my webcam, the PS5 console. I think Justin also has it on his webcam.
Same here. I got my box. I got the box there.
Yeah. And yeah, without further ado, I guess we'll talk about our story getting the PS5. I'll let you start, Justin, because I know you got screwed over quite a bit.
Yeah, my story's quite interesting. So, the thing is, when I pre-ordered my PS5, I know for a fact that I was one of the first people to at the place that I pre-ordered. I know I was I had to be one of the first people in my whole country to get to pre-order because we all know that after that PlayStation conference where they announced the prices and everything, it was just a big messy situation with all the pre-orders and stuff. I know at least in Canada where I live, they were supposed to wait a day after that press conference to put up the pre-orders, but yeah, basically for me, I remember after that press conference, I decided to browse the website. I'm like, yeah, let me just take a look and see if it's there. And it was already there before even any notifications went out, or they even announced it on their website or anything like that. So I remember I pre-ordered it right away. And then yeah, they announced it probably maybe 15 minutes later, and then from then on it was sold out within 20 minutes. So yeah, I definitely pre-ordered before almost everybody in the country. So I'm like, yeah, there's no way the PS5 will come late for me. I'm getting it day one, right? So on the day of, or I actually called a day before just to make sure. They're like, yeah, we shipped out the PS5s to the post office, so yeah, they're gonna be sending those out tomorrow. But yeah, I'm tracking it on the day of, and I'm like, man, they just sent it out. And where it is right now, it's still a few hours from where I live. And then yeah, the whole delivery system where I live is kind of a mess because they basically they have to ship it from this one place that's a few hours from where I live, and they have to ship it all the way out east, which is past where I live, and then it comes back to me, so it kind of goes around in a circle. It's just a big mess. So yeah, basically that whole Thursday on November 12th, I was just sitting there waiting, and the post office or the post delivery usually comes to my house around 3 p.m. So I was waiting, just staring out the window. I'm like, yeah, all right, it's coming. It's 3:30. I'm like, oh my god, are they coming? And then I see the post truck. It drives right by my house and stops there. And then the lady hops out, and she's only carrying these tiny few letters, and I'm like, oh my god, no, they really don't have it. Are you serious? How could they have done this? I pre-ordered so early in advance, and like they still didn't manage to get it to me on time. So honestly, like I found out like it was really Best Buy that was to blame, not the post office, just because I know that Best Buy like they basically gave the PS5s to the post office like super late. They only gave
Mm.
it I think it was like Wednesday or like Tuesday night, but in Canada like they don't it was like Remembrance Day on Wednesday.
Oh shit.
So they like don't deliver on Wednesday, which is crazy. So basically I assume
That
on
might affect
Wednesday they
it.
had that like whole back order of all the mail deliveries, right? So I assume
Hmm.
that's why like it was such a like big mess on Thursday. But yeah, I ended up getting it on Friday, at the same time at 3. It finally came to my house, and I was like, "Holy shit, it's finally here! Let's go!" But unfortunately, I had to work on Friday, so it came to my house at around like 3 p.m. I plugged it in, just signed into my account and stuff. Just like looked at a few of the features, downloaded Miles Morales, and then I'm like, yeah, I gotta go to work, so I guess I'll play later tonight. And then I didn't get back home until like midnight. Played for a few hours, and then I, went to sleep. Saturday was like really the only day where I actually got to play a decent amount, because on Sunday I had to work again, which really sucks. But yeah, I've played a decent amount. Um, Definitely not as much as Brandon, but I've played a decent amount. I definitely gonna play more soon. But yeah, that's pretty much my story on the PS5. Kind of went on a rant there, but yeah, you can tell us your story.
Yeah, so let's see here. I'm trying to think back. So after the initial PS5 showcase, I was able to get a pre-order from Amazon and Best Buy. Those were the two that I got it from, and everything was fine. I believe a few weeks before the launch, they had like certain time slots you can come in the morning because I did order pickup for Best Buy. I just chose like 6 to 6:30 in the morning. I kind of regret that because I was like super tired that morning when I unboxed everything. Probably in that unboxing video you could see in my eyes. I mean, my sleep schedule is still fucked right now. Not because of the PS5, just in general. Um, yeah, so I picked it up. I went there in the morning and there was like about 50 to 100 people in line. I want to say at least 50 or so. It took me like 20 minutes waiting out in the cold, and then we got inside and picked it up. It was pretty seamless after that. It was pretty easy. But yeah, there was a lot of people in line at 6 in the morning. No surprise. Besides that, my brother also got one from Amazon that I bought for him, or pre-ordered for him. That came by like 1, so I was lucky. I wanted to order from Best Buy and Amazon because I trust them compared to like outlets like Walmart and Target, which I've heard like people still waiting for their PS5s from both of those.
Yeah.
It's crazy. So I chose those, and luckily I got lucky with that. Um, yeah, so that was kind of my experience. It's kind of easy. I plugged it in. I didn't really touch it for like the first few hours, just so I was mainly focused on getting content. That first day, I didn't really play too much. I played like half an hour of Astro, and you saw that in the video that I made, as well as like just downloaded some of my games. I think I only played like 30 minutes of Miles that night, and then like a 2-hour Demon Souls stream. So like in total, I played about 3 hours, which is decent. But the rest was just focused on getting stuff done in terms of content, as well as installing my new graphics recorder. Well, I want to say graphics
Right.
card, but like the 4K 60 capture card.
Yeah.
I got that working. By the way, speaking of this, I want to ask you, Justin, because I know you were having issues that you were messaging me about. Were you
Yeah.
able to play Miles in 4K, or did you?
Not with the Elgato plugged in. So I realized, see, okay, so I guess I can quickly explain. So
Mm-hmm.
I bought like an Elgato HT60,
Mm-hmm.
which really only caps at 1080p. So I realized that was the issue because I had like, for my setup when the PS5 came, I had to like do I had to add all these new things to my like setup, right? Because it's really weird. My monitor that I play on only has one HDMI port that's like 2.0.
Mm-hmm.
The other ones are one. It's so stupid. It's a 4K monitor, but only one of them is a 2.0 port, and the other two are HDMI 1.4. So like this whole time, like right now, I have to I'm plugging my PC into the other port, so like it displays at 4K, and like the mouse when it moves, it's so laggy because it's only 30 frames per second.
Damn.
It's so stupid. But so yeah, the Elgato I got is only like a 1080p 60, which essentially means like when I tried playing Miles Morales, I'm like, why is my PS5 capping at 1080p, right? So I'm like, oh my god, it must be the Elgato capture card. So I found out that yeah, like basically if I want to use my Elgato, I have to either like get a 4K 60 one or like the one you have,
Mm-hmm.
or I can get the HD 60S Plus, I think it's called.
Okay.
And that one, yeah, literally the only difference between that one and mine is that the pass through is 4K.
That's
It's
cool.
really stupid. Yeah, I didn't really think about that
Does
when
the
I bought it.
HD60 you have, is it the external one or the one that's in your computer?
It's external.
Gotcha. Yeah, I ran
Yeah.
into the same issues as you that morning, so I think I mentioned in my Astro video, like I had my thing. I expected I could still play in 4K, but like record in 1080p, and that's the whole reason why I bought a 4K 60 was to record in 4K. Like I
Yeah.
thought no matter which way I did it, I would still be able to play in 4K.
Right.
Then I
Yeah.
was like, what the hell? Why can't I play in 4K? So then I found out that was the issue, and I would need the 4K 60, but luckily it was coming later that day. So
Oh,
I was
okay, yeah.
I was
So you
really
only had to
glad I
wait
bought
for a
that.
bit.
Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
but yeah, it's a little
Yeah, I don't
weird.
know what I'm gonna do now. I guess I have to try and bro. I literally just bought that like this year.
Really, dude? What?
Yeah.
Wait,
So like
okay. Did you buy that
I
for the
bought it in like in
PS5?
April. No, I just
Okay.
bought I bought it in like April because I'm like, oh, this would be cool to use for streaming. I guess I don't know.
That's right. I think I remember that. Yeah, that's true.
I only stream
I
one
know-
game on it. Last of Us 2. Yeah.
Shit, man, that's crazy. Yeah, it's definitely not been a smooth launch with my capture card stuff, but I'm at a place where I figured that out.
Right,
Luckily.
right. Yeah. So I mean, yeah, I'll get it worked out eventually. So.
Anyways, I guess we'll move on quickly to our Metacritic impressions, or
Right,
I mean
right.
review comparisons rather. I just want to go over this quickly because I do want to go into our actual impressions of the console. That's probably why most of you are listening.
Yeah.
We'll have timestamps, of course, but we'll go over all of our Metacritic scores. So I believe you said 86 for Miles, 91 for Demon Souls, 84 for Sackboy, 82 for Astrobot, 79 for Bugsnax. So comparing what you said,
Yeah.
I think you were spot on for almost like every single one. Miles is at what?
Pretty
What is
good.
Miles at right now? 85 or
I was
86?
at 85. It was 86. I think it dropped to 85 after more reviews
You're
came out.
you're still the closest on that.
Yeah.
91 for Demon Souls. Demon Souls is currently at a 92. The only game on PS5 right now that's above a 90. You're the closest on that one. Me and Charlie both said 90 for that.
Yeah, you guys were close to.
You said 84 for Sackboy. I think this is the only one
That was
that
a
I
little
think
off.
I won.
Yeah, I was a little off for this one.
I won Sackboy because I think Sackboy, what is it, high 70s right now?
I don't know.
I could see that. Like, I've been playing Sackboy with my brother, and it's fun, but, like, it's really basic.
Yeah, 78.
It's
Right.
fun, though. It's very fun, though. I want to play more. I've only played, like, 2 levels, but it's pretty fun. 82 for Astrobot. I think, are you, like, right on the money on that? I think you are.
I thought it was 83. Did it go down?
Well, you're still the closest if it's 83, because
83,
Charlie
yeah,
said
83,
79,
83.
and I said 80.
Right.
You said 79 for Bugsnax, which is also the closest out of all of us, because that has an 80. So you literally perfected this, I think.
Did it?
I think every single
I
one
thought
besides
Bugsnax was a lot
Sackboy.
lower.
No, Bugsnax is at 80 right now.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, on PS. Wait, what?
I was definitely second closest. I think a lot of
No, that's on
Charlies
dude.
were off.
Oh, dude, what the hell? That's so weird. On PS4, it's 80.
Oh,
On
really?
PS5, it's a 74.
Okay.
Yeah.
What
That's why,
do we take on that one?
Wait,
Wait, PS5 's lower?
PS5 score, right? Because we played the PS5.
Why are they
version.
two separate scores? Does the controller make that big of a difference of the game?
There's also a PC score.
So which one do we
70.
take? Which one's the
I
PS5
assume
one?
the PS5 74 is PS5.
Okay,
So.
then Charlie's the closest on that one at 75.
Yeah, yeah.
So ultimately, you won like what, 3 of 5 at least? Yeah, you were the closest for that for sure. And then yeah, we'll go over into what we've been playing. So I believe for Justin, you've only been playing one game, and that's Miles, correct?
Yeah, that is correct. Because as I've said, I've only gotten like 6 hours so far into the PS5, which really sucks because it's like, man, I've already had it for like a few days, but I've only gotten like 6 hours in. So yeah, I'm definitely gonna play some Astro after we finish recording because I'm actually really excited to play that one. I finished the Miles Morales story like right before we started recording today. And it only ended up taking me 6 hours. So yeah, I mean, I'll definitely go back and do all the side stuff. But I want to obviously explore other games right now because there's just so many other games. I also have the new Call of Duty, Black Ops Cold War. I'm gonna try that out tonight with some friends. Um, yeah, I guess the multiplayer and the zombies should be fun. I don't know. I haven't like I didn't play. The only bit of Call of Duty I played for like the last one was like is Warzone. I didn't even play, um,
You didn't
like
play
the
the Modern Warfare
multiplayer.
campaign or the multiplayer?
No, I didn't. I didn't even get it. Or
Mm.
actually, well, I got it through game sharing with Dan, but I just never got around to playing it.
I recommend
Yeah.
that campaign. It's pretty good.
So yeah, that's pretty
So,
much
what'd you
it.
think of Miles?
Miles, I really enjoyed it. I thought that oh yeah, I'll say it quickly. It's so stupid. I initially chose the we like Miles
Oh
has
yeah.
two modes, right? It has fidelity and performance mode. And in the main menu when I started up, I chose performance. But for some reason, like the first 2 hours I was playing in fidelity mode. And I was like I didn't notice it at first. Cause I guess I was just like blown away by all the graphics and stuff. I wasn't really paying attention to the frame rate for some reason. I don't know. And I'm like about like an hour or two in, I'm like, man, this doesn't feel right for some reason. Like this isn't 60. And then I check it, I'm like, why am I playing in fidelity mode? Right? So then I like switched it to performance and I'm like right away, I'm like, holy shit, this is insane. Like just moving around, like dodging enemies, yeah, and swinging across the buildings and stuff. It's so smooth and it's just like such an insane game changer. Um, and then I was testing out like the load times, like fast traveling and stuff. It's just so crazy. Like that, I'm just so impressed. Like the fact that you can like fast travel from one side of the map to the other in like less than like 3 seconds. It's crazy.
It's instant, yeah.
Super impressed by that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Miles, I really liked. Obviously, spoiler free. We're not going to talk about it too much. I think, without spoilers, it's really good at fleshing out Miles as a character. Like, you don't really, at least, 2 years later, like, remembering Miles from the original Spider-Man, like, he's definitely a big part of that game, but he's not, like, as fleshed out as Peter, obviously. So, getting this kind
Hmm.
of increases my excitement going into the sequel, which I'm sure will be use both of them. I'm sure we'll be able to
Right.
play as both Miles and Peter in the next one.
Yeah.
There's
I
no
was
way we're not
actually
going to play as Miles.
Yeah.
Go.
I was no, I was just gonna say I was like really surprised because I did like with like how much they changed the gameplay for Miles compared to Peter because I really didn't think they'd change that much, but just with the like the bioelectricity with Miles, like you could just like do so many more cool combos.
Yeah. It's
Yeah, it was
definitely
just like
impressive for like
yeah,
it essentially being a lost legacy. It
right,
was
right,
still very familiar. Obviously, I'm still waiting for this big
yeah,
sequel. That's I'm
yeah,
hopefully expecting. I imagine maybe it's like 2 years off. And Insomniac works really fast. I wouldn't be surprised if it's holiday 2022. Um, yeah, it's exactly like Lost Legacy essentially. So like you're gonna get like a lot of the essential stuff here is the story. The gameplay additions are pretty good. You could do like ceiling takedowns, wall takedowns. Venom increases, as Justin said, a bunch of your moves in combat. It's a lot more like crowd control for sure than Peter had, as well as his invisibility cloak ability allows you to re-enter stealth, which is something that's really nice. That was something that I didn't like about the original, like Batman, the Arkham games. You could always go back into stealth. Spider-Man never really had that, so that just kind of like fixes the roughness around the edges of the combat and makes it just the best it can be. Add in 60 FPS. It's a really good experience. 60 FPS and SSD are
yeah.
like what carried Miles.
It's a
Um,
game changer.
DualSense support's decent for Miles. It's not that crazy. It uses adaptive triggers for swinging around, and I like it in the fact that it's pretty subtle. So like you feel the weight of the web swinging like a bit, but it's not like annoying. So like when you're swinging around a lot, it feels like really satisfying, but it doesn't feel like it's getting in the way. Combat, you said you felt it pretty good. I didn't really like. It was definitely there, but
I mean, it was more the same, right?
yeah,
Like it was just like a few changes, but yeah, like for the most part, it is the same as the OG Spider-Man, just with the like bioelectricity stuff. Um,
hmm
and then like Miles doesn't have as many like gadgets as Peter. But I guess like the new like Venom stuff and the invisibility makes up for that.
yeah, exactly. So ultimately, it's a pretty good launch title. Definitely
Yeah.
like the best. It's better than anything we got on the PS4. It's the one game on PS5 that's essentially like a new story. Like as Demon Souls is a remake. I've obviously played the game, so I know what's gonna happen in that. This was like the only game really on PS5 by Sony that's like pushing that narrative kind of I don't know, their genre, their, you know, it's a new story. It's the only new story you really get on PS5 launch, and it's a really good experience. I'm definitely happy with it. I'm looking forward to seeing what Insomniac does next. We got Ratchet and Clank coming here in early 2021. It took you 6 hours to beat the story, correct?
Yeah. I just checked the PlayStation time counter and said like 6 hours. So I mean, it could be like a bit more than 6, but yeah, like around 6 to 7.
Yeah, mine's 7. So like you, it's
I
like
did.
7,
I did,
8.
and honestly, I actually did do a bit of side stuff too. Like,
Did you use fast travel?
yeah, a little bit. No,
Maybe
but
that's
honestly,
why.
like I felt like I only used it if it was like an area like 2,000 meters away or something like that. Like even if it was 1,000, I was like, yo, 60 FPS like swinging across rooftops feels so smooth. I'm just gonna swing there myself.
Yeah, I didn't use. I think it forces you to fast travel at like one part of the game
Yeah.
to like introduce you to it. I didn't fast travel at any other parts of the game.
Right.
I did a bit of side content, decent amount, not terribly because it is the same gameplay loop as Spider-Man PS4. So I really wanted to see the
It
story
was like
through.
whenever you know how like they introduce like all those new collectibles and then it's like it shows the map. It's like I don't know. I'm like, yeah, okay, this is more the same. Just like getting those tokens.
That and like
Using it to
Spider-Man is
upgrade.
always a game that I boot up after I beat it just to swing around and do some activities, do some crimes, do some side objectives. So the story is kind of like always like the first half of the experience, and the second half is just booting it up whenever you want to swing around. And then booting it up now is like insanely fast. So like I think the 3 games, Astro's Playroom, Demon Souls, and Spider-Man Miles Morales are like the best examples of the SSD for obvious reasons. They're like the only native games. I believe it takes like 11 to 13 seconds to boot up Spider-Man from the main menu, right? Have you had like similar experiences? It's like 9 seconds to get to the subway
really
main
fast.
menu,
Yeah, yeah.
and then it's like
And
3
then from
seconds
there,
after
it's
that.
not
It's like
even
2,
yeah,
3
it's not even
seconds.
3 seconds from there
Yeah,
to get into
exactly.
the game.
So it's like I think my biggest takeaway with the PS5 is at least native PS5 games going forward that used SSD. There's no longer that barrier to entry. Whenever you boot up a game on PS4, it's like always kind of like you got to commit to it in a way. Like you know that you got to stay here for like the next 2 minutes until it loads, and like
Yeah.
it's kind of like a locked experience, right? So with the PS5, like I remember I was like party chatting with someone on my friends list, and I was just mentioning I want to boot up something on Demon's Souls to see something really quickly. Within like I think I timed it on my phone. It was 19 seconds between when I clicked on the icon to when I was in the Nexus moving as playing the character. And then from there, using an Archstone, it takes like 5 seconds to get into another world. Literally, I could boot up the game, and within 30 seconds, I could be in the world I want to, you know, already playing the game, and it's pretty impressive. Like, the SSD is crazy fast. Backwards compatible games, not so much. It's like more of an upgrade you'd see on a traditional PC, where like they'll be improved for sure, but if they're not native on the PS5, or at least the exclusive games wise, they use the SSD to its limits right now. I haven't checked too many third-party games. Call of Duty, it loaded up decently fast, but a lot of that stuff is also server stuff. So when you're booting up multiplayer matches, it's gonna still be slow because obviously it's not like Sony solved the internet issues. So
Right.
yeah, single-player games at least on PS5 is gonna be sweet going forward. What about your hardware impressions, like the actual big console itself, the DualSense? What'd you think of the physical side of this release?
I mean, I have it up vertically. Do you have it up horizontally?
I have it up horizontally. There's no way I'm putting
really?
this thing up
Okay.
vertically.
Yeah. See, I basically put mine vertically on my desk just because the place that I had my PS4 before. I used to stack my PS4 on top of my PC, like right next to me, and
Really?
yeah, I just think it's kind of the PS5 is kind of wide, and I don't think it's gonna fit.
Dude,
and
why
that's
would
it.
you want to put a PS5 vertically on the top of your PC tower? What the hell?
Yeah.
Like 2 PC
so-
towers stacked on each other.
Yeah. So I just like I have it next to me. Like after I saw the pictures and I saw your unboxing, I'm like I had a pretty good idea of like how big it was gonna be. But yeah, even when unboxing, I'm like, damn, this thing is massive, man.
Yeah, when you
Holy-
actually have it in your hands, it's kind of insane. Like even
Yeah.
picking it up from the store, unboxing it, it's like seeing this huge ass box, like insane. It's like a bigger part of my torso.
Yeah, what else? I was just looking at I was looking at the controller. I was like looking really close at it, and you know how like if you use like a microscope, you can see like the
textures, right?
the tiny textures on the controller. And I was just looking at it, like you can really faintly see it if you look really closely, which I think is such a cool like tiny little thing that they added.
They look like
It's so
dots, yeah.
cool. Yeah. It's so cool. I like the. I think the base is actually pretty cool. You know the base that you add to the PS5.
The stand?
The stand, yeah.
I hate the
I mean,
stand. I was gonna go into
you
that.
don't like the
But you can
stand?
go
You don't like
and
the
do
stand? I mean, like...
horizontally. That thing has come
Oh
off like
yeah,
four
okay. I think
times.
horizontally it looks really weird.
Horizontally, so obviously with HDMI inputs and recording, I've had to like take out the cables, right?
Right.
You know how when you're pulling out an HDMI
Oh,
cable,
yeah,
you hold
yeah,
onto the
okay.
console, right? You hold onto the console slightly to just make sure that you get like that grip, right, to pull it off.
Yeah.
Doing that, unplugged the stand like 3 or 4 times when I was unplugging the HDMI cable. The stand's absolutely abysmal in my opinion, at least horizontally. And it's so stupid how with the horizontally for a console you have to use a stand, but that's obviously just because of the shape they went into. I think the PS5 is going to be like the first console where if they come out with a slim model, I might like actually buy a slim model just because I want this thing to be smaller. Like it's big and it fits fine in my room, but like
Yeah.
it's definitely something where it's like kind of too big, like there's no.
Yeah, it definitely takes a lot of room. It's
That
like
being said,
almost,
it is
the
quiet.
same height as my like. It's almost the same height as my like monitor standing up.
Yeah, it's insane. That being said, like I think me and you were talking about this right before we started recording. Like this thing's quiet. Like long gone are the days of playing any game on your PS4, and it's just all the audio being kind of like taken out because of the fan. Like
Right.
I sit right next to my PS4, so when I'm playing games, like it's just been like a thing where I'm expected to hear that as I'm streaming or something like that, or playing simply. And then I'd have to use like noise suppression. It's nice to just be able to play, and man, no longer having that issue to worry about. It's just been awesome.
Yeah.
So I'll definitely take the bigger size for the quieter benefits.
Yeah. I have like back then when I had my PS4 on top of the PC, right, and they're both running at the same time. I'm like, bro, it's so loud in here. Now the PS4 like virtually like no noise at all.
Yeah, it's like my PC.
Like
my PC was quiet.
My PC makes more noise than my PS5.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So I'm like that. I was so impressed by that. Even like
it doesn't get too hot either.
Yeah, I actually haven't tested that. I mean, like, yeah, I don't
know. I've touched the back after like an extended playtime at Miles, and it was pretty warm. But like, obviously, heat has to come out. That's literally physics and how things work. Obviously, the heat's not just gonna evaporate inside the console. So it was warm, but it wasn't like terribly. What about the DualSense controller? Like form factor and.
I really like it. I really like just the back part, like just the texture of it on your hand. It just feels really comfortable.
Yeah, it does.
Like I don't know. The adaptive triggers, yeah, for me I've only played Spider-Man, right? So, but like it was cool, like for the web swinging. I enjoyed it. Like the first moment, like when you hop into the game and you're swinging right away, basically as Miles. The first part, is that the first thing you play when you start swinging?
Yeah. With the controller, the first thing I noticed when playing Miles was the train. You feel like the individual bumps on the controller as you're going over, which is very impressive. That was cool.
Oh yeah, I did want to say I added like I had an SSD, or not an SSD, like I had an extra hard drive, which is essentially the PS4 hard drive that came with the PS4. I replaced that with a 2 terabyte hard drive that I bought, and I basically. I switched those, so now I had the PS4 hard drive, which is like empty, so I had like 500 gigs there. I just plugged it into the back of the PS5, so I have like an extra 500 gigs, downloaded a few PS4 games on that, so yeah, make some extra room.
External, I don't know. Yeah,
I didn't want all those games on my PS5 hard drive. I want to save it for the PS5 games.
I'm honestly probably not going to get an external hard drive. I'll probably just wait until they come out with like internal SSD expansions. Yeah. Just because my setup, I think I've sent you and Charlie like photos like with like all my
I know,
and like the new Astros. Like if I add another cable to that, it's gonna be looking like I'm playing some like wire jungle.
Like, my initial setup with the Elgato and like I had a splitter for my like my monitor and my and the PS5, like just splitting all that stuff with the Elgato too. It was like disgusting with all the wires.
I also found out that my HDMI splitter was capping my game to 1080p 60.
Oh really? The splitter?
I think the signal wasn't going through completely.
Because mine was
I unplugged it. I unplugged it and it went to 4K 60. That was like another bottleneck. Like so the HD 60 regular like Elgato was also like keeping it to 1080p 60, but also the HDMI switch too. So I had to get rid of those two components.
Yeah,
So
I gotta like
yeah.
I made sure when I bought the splitter it said like 4K or whatever.
I
So
bought
I
mine like
test.
5 years ago. That's why.
Oh, okay, that's probably why. I just got mine, like, because I
Mm.
knew this was gonna be an issue probably. Um, so yeah, like that the splitter I checked after the splitter wasn't the problem, and then yeah, it just turns out it was the Elgato. So I'm like, damn, what am I gonna do with this? I literally just bought this half a year ago.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't
Let's
know.
talk about the haptic feedback and everything like that, the adaptive triggers. This actually goes into one of our questions, viewer questions.
Okay.
Josh Anderson says, which games do you think use adaptive triggers the best? Do you like this feature? So let's start with adaptive triggers here. I think this is actually a good one to start with because you played Spider-Man Miles Morales, which uses them pretty decently. So how did you find your
Adaptive
experience playing?
triggers. Adaptive triggers for what? Like web swinging and stuff.
Yeah, I guess
I
that's the
guess.
only thing I think that's the only thing the game uses
I,
for adaptive triggers. So, what'd you think of that?
yeah.
And then I'll go
I
into
thought
all
it
the
was
games I
really
played.
cool. I just think like I just thought it was such a like a new cool addition compared to like the PS or the DualShock 4. Like just, like
Mm-hmm.
previous gen didn't have anything like that. So the first moment like when the game starts and you enter as Miles Morales and he's like swinging, like the moment you start swinging, you can feel that already. And I'm like, holy shit, this is so cool. Like, yeah, I just can't wait to see what other games do it with that feature.
It
Um,
feels like when you're swinging, it doesn't feel like as simple anymore. Like it feels like
yeah, yeah.
you feel more connected in a weird way. Like it's simple, but at the same time, it doesn't
Yeah, and like
take
you can
away.
like feel the tension of like each like web swing that you're shooting out.
Mm-hmm.
It's really cool.
That combined
I
with 60 FPS is like such a good combo. By the way, I just want to add that in.
yeah. I did hear like it's not the best feature for multiplayer games,
Yeah, I
right?
talked to you about this a bit. That goes into Call of
Yeah.
Duty, which I guess to answer Josh's question, Call of Duty really does use the adaptive triggers, one of the best implementations currently at launch. Each gun honestly feels like really different. So things like rifles will feel different from sniper rifles to SMGs. Like they all feel very different. Like shooting SMGs, like you have that kind of like it's really hard to describe. Whenever you explain the DualSense in the words, it's really hard. But you feel like the bullets coming out of the gun in like an SMG way. You feel it and like it's coming out like do 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 do. While like assault rifles, they feel a lot more precise and hard, and a lot more of that recoil coming back. So that's really cool. That being said, it's also not the best feature to have in multiplayer for Call of Duty because you're pressing down harder. I mean, there's like literally, you always play these Call of Duty games and there's like perks and shit for like aim down sights faster. Yeah, well, the fucking DualSense makes it so that's like 100% harder or like 50% harder because you're literally having to give it more of a harder press in order for you to actually aim down the sights. And then when you're shooting, obviously the recoil is gonna like feel it in your hands. Like it's gonna be a lot harder to be precise than if you just had that feature off. That being said, in zombies so far I've tested it, it's pretty fun as well.
Hmm.
It definitely uses it really well, and I like that. So
That's
I
cool.
guess going into the other games that use the DualSense that I've used, obviously I can only speak on a few games that I've played. So Demon Souls, Astro's Playroom, I believe, are the big two, as well as let's see, what else have I played? I think that's the majority of it. And then the Call of Duty, as I said earlier, and Sackboy. I guess I'll add Sackboy as well. Definitely Astro's Playroom is the showcase title for the controller, right? So it uses it in so many different ways. Astro's a pretty big experience. I actually really like it. In a way, like half of my enjoyment with the game is because it uses the controller really well, but it also has like so many good PlayStation tributes that it's just a joy to play through. Definitely play for Astro's Playroom. It gives you like a bunch of cool Easter eggs and nostalgia for the past, as well. It just gives you a really good platformer for free, and it's really a showcase for the future of this console with the controller here. So adaptive triggers on Astro's Playroom. There's like a rocket level. So like you're in a rocket ship and you got to press down harder to go faster. You could kind of feel the jet engine of the rocket in the controller. So the harder you press down, the more obviously power comes out, and you feel that into the controller as well. Let's see here. There's a bow and arrow section where you get Astro gets a bow pulling down. You can feel the resistance of the bow as you're pulling down harder. Kind of gives you kind of a glimpse into what Horizon might feel like, which will be cool. So that was really dope. Besides that, adaptive triggers, It's used decently in Astro, but I feel like haptic feedback and the controllers, like speakers, are used more so. So I think the biggest example for me was like ice skating and the different weather effects in the game. So feeling like rain and hail and like the differences between the two feelings and sensations was pretty cool. Like rain felt really light and it would be like really dismissive, so like it'd kind of like fade away and you felt that. With hail, it would be like hard concrete drops and just like going through that level, and like the rain and the hail would get harder. You'd feel the vibrations come out a lot more faster of a pace. And then at the very end of that level, you do get out and you go above the clouds and it's a lot clearer. Just like the fact that the irritation of that feedback is gone. So like no longer are you being irritated by like the rain and hail. Kind of adds to the immersion of that. Like you are Astro and you just kind of got out of that field. So yeah, honestly, it's like, it's a really good feature. I definitely think it should be used going forward. Did it live up to the hype with the DualSense? I'd say so. Yeah, like obviously considering like limits, like the buzzwords they use is like you're gonna really feel the game, and like yeah, it's really good. That being said, I really want to go back to PS4 because I feel like that would be the ultimate test, is playing PS4 games and feeling how they feel. Like if it feels like it feels very simple to play now that you don't have haptic feedback. So that would be really cool to try out. I definitely want to intentionally go back to the PS4 to test that out. I will say Demon Souls is also really good, another example, mainly for haptic feedback as well, not adaptive triggers. Just like the simple actions of like the different weapons and the different spells, the haptic feedback and the controller speakers, kind of in conjunction, bring the illusion that you actually have the weapons in your hand. When you're doing like spells, you'll feel like the right side of your hand, or the controller rather, start to sizzle up. And then the speaker will also have kind of like the sound of that weapon. The speaker is honestly kind of like the subtle, like low-key upgrade to the DualSense. I feel like no one's talking about. The speaker's a lot better, and it's used in a lot of games to like be in conjunction with the haptic feedback to kind of sell the illusion that you are performing these actions. So like through the speaker, you literally hear like a bunch of the animations and sounds from visceral attacks and Demon Souls coming out of that, as well as like when you're picking up items and all that. So Demon Souls is really a good example for the haptic feedback. It probably is the best besides Astro's in terms of selling that, and it's really good. Like I don't want to go on a rant too much, but one example was really good is like going up elevators and down elevators. You can kind of feel like the old machinery and like the wheels kind of like clocking around, so like you feel like the different notches of it like struggling to like pull you up and slow down. Like it's crazy that sensation actually can be conveyed to you through this controller. So a little bit of a rant, but that's just because I can only speak on what I played. Justin's only played so far Spider-Man Miles Morales, so this sadly part of the video can't be like a two-way conversation.
Yeah, and like I'm gonna play Astrobot right after.
Yeah, so we could have waited, but obviously then we're kind of starting into exactly. But ultimately, we could both speak on the form factor at least. Like this controller feels really good. I think we could both agree, right?
Yeah, it's really comfortable in the hand. Yeah.
Exactly. It's kind of like it's similar to the Xbox, but like doesn't feel as heavy as the Xbox controllers, as well as obviously the analog sticks are in the same position. So it's like honestly like the DualShock 4 felt like the perfect controller coming from the DualShock 3. This feels like the perfect controller as well. Like even coming just strictly off of form factor and like none of the haptic feedback or adaptive triggers, this controller still feels like night and day compared to DualShock 4. So the DualSense, it's awesome. Definitely one of the better upgrades to the PS5. I think the DualSense and the SSD are the two biggest upgrades to the PS5 that really live up to the hype, so to say. So yeah, do you want to talk about your overall experience with the PS5? I know we kind of talked about the dispute to the SSD. Do you want to talk about like just like your overall experience with the hardware and the OS and all that?
Oh yeah, I can talk about the OS, but the OS is really it's definitely like I definitely need to play it more to get used to it. Like I was having some issues like at the beginning finding stuff, right? Which obviously makes sense if I'm like using a new system. But yeah, like for the most part, like it's similar to the PS4, but at the same time also introduces a lot of new things. I haven't really got to use the cards yet. I know you have, right? Like for Astro.
A bit. So yeah, I planned them to Astro for those wondering, and I did it completely through the card system. I wanted to try that out and see how these like tips and guides and how using it in conjunction with just the game itself worked, and it worked pretty well. Uh,
So
yeah,
would
I
you
liked
say
it.
like would you say like what like does using the cards make it a lot faster like because you can just go to like exactly what you want then or like
It's
how does that work?
convenient for sure because I don't have to turn on my second monitor and pull it up or turn on my phone. So it's definitely convenient. The cards, I feel like it's more of like a work in progress. Like I like the idea of cards, but I feel
Okay.
like we definitely need stuff like I feel like if developers came out and like gave us a bunch of options for cards and we pinned the ones that we wanted, like let's say Spider-Man, like let us pin like certain different like parts of the city we could teleport to or just like the next main mission or just like whenever I use the cards for Spider-Man, it just pulls up a bunch of random activities that I don't feel like doing. So I know
Right,
almost
yeah,
never
yeah.
use it.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, I
And
didn't
like
use the cards at
yeah,
all. I didn't use the cards at all for Spider-Man.
Astro's Playroom is definitely the best example for it. Probably the only good example. I think Call of Duty also like has multiplayer modes it uses for cards, so you can
Hmm.
easily just queue up to a match that you want to through that.
Right.
Uh, but yeah,
Have,
Astro's
have
Playroom
you
does it the
tried the
best.
you know the switcher feature at the bottom where you
I
can
I
switch?
actually haven't used that at all because I
Okay,
always
okay,
just
because
like
I haven't tried it either yet. I was wondering about that. I was
because like it like essentially it just turns off your game, right, and it turns up another one. Like there's no
oh, it
quick
turns it
resume
off.
in this
It turns it
console.
off.
Yeah, there's no quick
Oh, okay.
resume. It
All right,
just
okay.
like
That's what I was wondering. Yeah.
so like I've always like I'm just in the habit of like going into the main menu, closing my game, and booting up another one. I never really use the switcher.
Right.
If it was quick resume, I would probably be using it a lot. That's
Yeah.
one thing I do wish that was added, just because the PS5 is super fast. Imagine having like your save state in Miles and Demon Soul suspended in like these
Hmm.
certain intervals, and just using the switcher to jump back into those save states.
Yep.
I definitely think like Xbox has a killer feature in that because that would be insane. Can you imagine like having five or so games with like your save states just in hovering states?
Hmm.
That'd be so dope.
Yeah.
Yeah, OS. I think yeah, you kind of hit the nail in the coffin or nail in the head, nail in the, whatever that saying is. It's good. I think a lot of stuff I still got to get used to, like you, like notifications and like having everything at the top of the PS4 is something that I got to get used to now, being at the bottom in that like game bar section.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, parties is honestly parties people are complaining about. I do think they definitely need to work on that, but I've been like party chatting with some friends that have PS5s and it's been really seamless on the game bar section. Downloads being at the bottom is also just something to get used to. I feel like it all makes sense. Like I feel like pressing the PlayStation button once to get like a hotbar makes more sense than holding it down on the PS4. I think that's just muscle memory. That's the main reason why we're complaining. It makes more sense to hold it down to go into the main menu than it is to hold it down to get the quick bar. So I definitely think the addition of the PlayStation button, just making it have the small little hotbar, makes more sense. I feel like it takes like there's definitely some need room for improvement. Like I feel like it takes a lot more button presses to like turn off my console now than it did on the PS4. So like on the PS4, I just hold the PlayStation button, scroll down to enter rest mode. Now it's like I gotta press the PlayStation button, scroll all the way to the right, click the power button, and then click enter rest mode.
Hmm.
Um, yeah. Overall, the OS is really sleek. I like that the tiles are smaller, and instead it replaces with like these nice, beautiful 4K images of like the game art, and
Yeah, and
oftentimes music as
plays
well.
music. Yeah.
Music.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. So not every game plays music. Like I know
Call of
Sackboy,
Duty
oddly enough,
doesn't.
does. Yeah, Call of Duty doesn't play. Sackboy doesn't play music. Like what
Oh
the hell?
really?
Like that has
Oh.
like such a good soundtrack from what we've heard so far. Like how
I
did
know.
that not
I
have
know.
music?
Uncharted does.
Yeah, it's essentially kind of like on the PS4 when you'd have the tiles and you'd go down, and then it would have like oftentimes it'd have like an image, right, and then it would have like your friends that have this game, communities, trophies, and all that.
Hmm.
Essentially, like that kind of image there,
Yep.
but instead is like now front and center on your PS5 main menu. So I really like it. Definitely, it's nice. Miles uses it really well with the music. Demon Souls too. It's really cool.
Yeah.
And yeah, it kind of reminds me of the PS3 XMBA, if you remember that. Remember how you'd have, like hover over the games and it'd play like music and video.
Right. Yeah.
It's kind of sleek and a good combination of the two being PS3 and PS4.
Hmm.
Other than that, is there anything else you really want to talk about? I feel like we kind of hit
Uh,
everything.
yeah, that's a pretty much it. I think like next week once Charlie is done, we can definitely share some more thoughts. We'll each like have played more games by then, right? We still have that one question.
Yeah,
Let's
that's
see.
right. So let's pull it up here.
Yeah.
Superman699 says, what kind of TVs or monitors are you guys running on your PS5s, and whether you're planning on upgrading anytime soon? He says he has an OLED 4K HDR TV, which he believes is capable of running 4K 120. If you have the LG OLED, I believe you're good with 4K 120. Yeah, I was doing research for a lot of 4K TVs and monitors before the PS5, because obviously now is a better time than ever to upgrade. I ended up just getting a standard 4K 60 hertz monitor. Reason being is a lot of times in the monitor space right now, at least, it's not really a good time to buy, considering HDMI 2.1 in the monitor space isn't really that established. I think actually there's like only one monitor possibly coming out here soon that uses HDMI 2.1, which would allow 4K 120. Obviously, given my room, I need a monitor, not a TV, so I went with a 27-inch LG. I believe the model is UK 850. It's actually the same exact monitor that Charlie has, just like a very slight difference. So me and him will be using kind of the same monitors, although I believe Charlie is going to be using a 4K TV at the moment. I'm really impressed, obviously, given the size. 27 inches means the 4K image is sharper because it's not spread across like a 40-inch TV or a 55-inch, 60-inch TV. I really like it. Definitely the jump between 1080p and the 4K is like diminishing returns than what you would see from like 720p to 1080p, but still the jump is pretty big. The image is just really clean. That's like the best way to describe 4K, is just very clean. And then also I believe it has some HDR functionality, so like it's like brighter than ever, the color. A bit, yeah, it's certified for HDR a bit. So it's really nice, and I definitely have been enjoying playing the PS5 on it. What about you, Justin?
Nice. So I use the monitor. I use a monitor just because with the TV, I wouldn't be able to sit as close, right? Because it's just so big, I have to sit further back. With the monitor, I just like having it in front of me. It's not too big, and I can still see like all the details nice and close. So the monitor I have is it's 4K 60. I got it back. I already got it like a few years back, actually. I think I got it like 3 years back. It's the Asus 28-inch. I think it's MG28UQ. I think it's called. I actually don't know if they make it anymore. I was checking on Best Buy the other day. I couldn't find it. But yeah, I've had this monitor for a while. And yeah, like I haven't even really used the 4K feature until now, because if I played games on my PC, I would just run things in 1440 and get like higher than 60 frames. Actually, now that I think about it, if I was getting only 60 frames anyways, I guess I could have went for 4K actually. But
well, I mean, if you run it at 4K, you're gonna go lower than 60, right?
I think I don't remember actually. I think I've seen times where it was like just staying at 6. I don't remember because I played
If you're
both
playing
Rise.
competitive games, you'll get it, but like
I played
4K
Rise
60
and
is pretty
Shadow of
demanding.
Tomb Raider on my PC. I don't remember.
No way you played that at 4K 60.
I played it. I know. No, I played it at 1440.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, the only problem with my monitor, I realized, is that I said earlier I only have one HDMI 2.0 port, which is like a real issue. Just because now like I have to use a splitter for my PC and my PS5, which is kind of a hassle because I just like, yeah, I'd rather have it on 2 separate HDMI ports. But yeah, other than that, hey man, I love my monitor. I don't have HDR though, so, which I don't find the biggest issue. It's okay, really. It's not that big of an issue to me.
I mean, my HDR monitors don't have the best HDR. Like the standard for like good HDR, like real HDR is like 1000 nits. There's a lot of different factors that go into HDR, including like contrast ratio. But with HDR on the monitors, I believe this one goes to like 450, so it's like decent. But that being said, like I've definitely noticed a difference in terms of like games compared to like on my actual other 1440p monitor without HDR. I've seen the difference, but it's definitely not like TV level, but I'm fine with that sacrifice. Like it still looks really beautiful, and definitely been really impressed with it so far. So yeah, I definitely recommend, if anyone can, to upgrade to 4K. This generation is probably the best, considering games are now finally running at native 4K. And
it's a game changer because like once I tried playing it in 1080 with Elgato, just because like I was like, all right, let me just try and see if it really makes a difference. And like even in the menu screen, You know how when you like hover over Spider-Man and then like it just shows Spider-Man like the big picture of him?
Mm-hmm.
Like you can just see the details like so much clearer with 4K. Like it's crazy.
Yeah,
So
I definitely
I'm
can speak
like,
to
yo,
that.
I'm like, yeah, I don't even care about streaming. I'm playing this myself. I'm playing this myself.
I played the first 30 or so minutes of Spider-Man Remaster, and that thing is so good at 60 FPS, and obviously the same benefits that you see in Miles. I actually think I'm going to replay the game all over again, probably, and go for the Platinum yet again. I had never beat the DLC, or ever played the DLC, so that's also going to be something I do.
True.
Probably more towards December, I want to focus on Demon Souls. Also,
Yeah.
Bug Snacks is a game I want to play next as well.
Bug snacks.
I've heard good things about that. Pathless also interests me, so that's kind of like what I'm looking at here. I bought also Assassin's Creed Valhalla. Like everyone talking about it, got me to buy it. Yeah, I bought it. I had like $20 in my PSN credit, so like it only cost like 40. Ubisoft games are also cheaper than standard PS5 games, so
Right.
I was like, all that combined, I was like, I'll try it out. It's also launched, so you're a bit more like forgiving.
Right.
You want to play like a lot more, so we'll see how that goes. I'll probably play it a bit today. We'll see.
Yeah.
But yeah.
I still have a Watch Dogs Legion on the PC that I've played like 1 hour of only so far.
I want to play that game so much, but the fact that it's 30 FPS, I can't. Like, every game I'm playing on PS5 is 60 FPS. When I turned Miles to 4K, like, the ray tracing is beautiful and all, but it's, like, such a, like, it's not a small difference, right? Especially if, like, you're in, like, indoor environments. It's a pretty decent upgrade, but going from that to 60 at, like, you can't go back. You can't go back at all. 60 FPS makes it feel like you're way more connected to the world if you're playing at double the frames. Like, yeah, I just can't go back to 30.
Super smooth.
Exactly. 60, I'm totally fine if I go through this whole generation just playing 60 FPS.
Oh,
144 and
whenever
like 120.
whenever they have the option, or
yeah, or no, just in general, like 120 is nice and all, but it's like a very smoother 60. 60, I feel like, is the sweet spot for our consoles at the moment. Like, consoles has always traditionally been 30 FPS. I hope this generation will get options for we can get, because like the thing is, a lot of games are gonna be pushing ray tracing, so like a lot of the targets will probably be 4K 30 with ray tracing. All they really need to do is just add an option that like disables ray tracing, and a lot of times that doubles the frame rate. Oftentimes it does. Yeah. So that's what I'm hoping.
So do you think for like big upcoming like single player games, like if they have that option? You think you'd
I feel like if there's one game that will be 30 FPS, it'll be Naughty Dog's next game.
Yeah, that's
because
what I mean.
They always push graphics and
Well,
shit.
I'm saying, like, if they give you that option, which one do you think you'd go for on your first?
I'll definitely go 60. Miles sold me on 60. The fact that like you barely lose any like image quality, like the image quality is like pretty much on par.
Oh yeah, like it still looked amazing.
And like the image is like in between 1440p and 4K. Like it's really good. Like you're not losing much when you go to 60 FPS performance mode. Like it literally, like I don't know, like almost at times it's almost like you're just losing ray tracing. Like the details are super small in my opinion, from just the naked eye. So definitely 60 all the way.
Right. Nice.
But yeah, I guess that kind of wraps up this week's episode of Critically Incorrect. Make sure to send in your questions for next week's episode. It'll probably go back to the normal format. We will talk to Charlie. We'll probably have a segment where we talk to him about his PS5 impressions, maybe give an update on ours. But we'll go back to the gaming news normal format next week. So yeah, normal questions as always. We'll appreciate that in the comment section down below. Make sure to join our Discord. That will be something we have in the description below as well. Something we're trying to grow and use. I know I've been a transition to actually use the Discord now instead of gaming at its core. But yeah, we're growing it a bit, and it'll be cool to see as we progress here. So that being said, we'll probably be back for episode 3, hopefully within a week's time of this episode, within 7 days or so, maybe a little bit sooner. We'll see. It all depends on when we can film with Charlie and get his PS5 impressions, but at the same time, fitting everyone in as well. So anything else you'd like to add, Justin? Where to find you, like always?
Yeah, sure. You can follow me on Twitter. Subscribe to YouTube if you want to see a video coming in, I don't know, the next year. Yeah, Twitter's cool. Yeah, everything will be down in the description below. So yeah, thanks for having me on the episode again.
Yeah, for sure. I will also add that on my channel. I'm planning on doing a Miles Morales and a PS5 review. Demon Souls also, I'm going to make a video on that. Probably like a bigger video on that, considering I played both the PS3 and now the remake. Well, I say remake, I'm playing through it right now. I've actually filmed my complete playthrough for Miles. It's annoying. Like, I'm currently trying to transition from Sony Vegas to Adobe Premiere Pro. And any editor can tell
Oh,
you that
really?
like switching up your normal like workflow habits is insanely annoying and difficult. That's why I haven't uploaded a video since my
Bro,
Astro one, is
I hate
because my
Premiere
Vegas
Pro.
crash.
Bro, I hate
Vegas crash.
Premiere
Oh,
Pro.
I'm used
Dude,
to Vegas, which is why I
I
like
use it
it.
for school for one of my classes, and it's such a pain in the ass.
It's so annoying and like has like such a different workflow than Vegas does.
Yeah.
But it actually like handles 4K footage fine. Vegas crashes all the time. I need to make the transition, so I'm kind of forcing myself to learn it, and that's why the lack of content has existed on my channel. But I have been streaming, so make sure to just go subscribe to that or follow that. Actually, I mean, you can subscribe too. Hey, but yeah, Demon Souls has been the main game we've been streaming over there, and that will be continuing to be the game we stream over there. So go follow that if you're interested in watching me not die, because I'm too good at games. So yeah. That being said, that has been the second episode of Critically Incorrect. I've been your host, Online ZHD, or Brandon. Justin here as well. We'll see you next week. In the meantime, what are we going to say? Take care. That's my
Peace
fucking
out.
outro.
Peace
What's
out.
our outro? Peace out.
Peace
Peace
out.
out.
Sure.